Welcome back. This is PowerPoint Module 1, Video 1, and the file that I'm using can be found in our course. It is called, it's the 1-2 PowerPoint file. You can download that from our Canvas shell if you would like to follow along. I am working through the review section of the PowerPoint chapter. In the back, like the end of the chapter is where I'm working through. And I'm starting on step 15 with this PowerPoint that you see here. So we're going to go ahead and do a file save as and browse for a location where you would like to save the file and just save it as, let's see, what does it tell us to save it as? Leads, L-E-A-D-S. And then hit save. Okay, so just a quick refresher on PowerPoint before we dig into this module. PowerPoint, I feel, comes naturally to a lot of people, much different than the other programs that we've used, although the setup is still the same. So you're still going to see the tabs across the top, although they're different and more specific to PowerPoint. You're going to see the ribbon with commands grouped together by similarity. You're going to see some of the same features that we see in Excel and Word that you can do in PowerPoint. You can insert tables and pictures and edit your pictures in PowerPoint. You can change the design theme in PowerPoint, which is kind of like the background, where you can pick a specific background that you want, and then even more into it, once you pick a background, you can even select a variant based on that design theme, and it changes up the colors and the fonts and the sizes and the setup even a little bit further. So we'll be using that a lot, the design tab. Insert we'll use a little bit for smart art. What else on insert? Just kind of basics, like if you wanted to insert a header or text box, very similar to how we did in Microsoft Word. All of that can be found on the Insert tab. On the Home tab, again, you'll have your font group where you can pick any of the font tools like bold, underline, italics, change the font style, size, shape, color, that kind of thing. We'll use those. And then we won't get into animations and transitions in Module 1. That's something that we'll touch on in Module 2. But animations and transitions are basically how things move on your slide. So you may have seen stuff fly in or spin, like pictures maybe spin in or fade. Those are animations. You can animate different objects like text boxes or pictures or shapes on your slides. And then transitions are how one slide moves to the next. So how each slide transitions to the next slide. So there's lots of choices for animations and transitions. And I've seen people get those two things mixed up before or think that they're the same thing. And they're actually two separate things. And we'll work on that in PowerPoint Module 2. Slideshow is where you can go to view your slideshow in full screen as if you wanted to see what it would look like when it's finished. If you want to go ahead and like see it full screen, final copy, that kind of thing, you can play your slideshow from the beginning or from the current slide. You can kind of play around with these different commands, present online or custom slideshow. You can hide slides, lots of things that you can do. Record your slideshow. I've had teachers and students record presentations, like record their voice, their voiceover kind of as they're doing a presentation, they can record over it. So lots of different options for there as well. You can also view your slideshow by using these buttons down in the bottom corner. You have a slideshow button. And then you have some different views that you can see. Slide sorter view, if you want to rearrange your slides, if you click on slide sorter view, it will show you your slides in this format. And then if you wanted to rearrange them, you could click and then just drag them to a different location. This takes you back to normal view, and then notes pane is this little notes button down here at the corner. And what that does is it adds this little notes pane, and you can type notes to yourself. If you're giving a presentation, you can add specific notes that you want to remember about a certain slide. And then in the status bar to the far left, it'll tell you how many slides are in your presentation and which slide you are currently working on. When you're ready to insert new slides into your presentation, you just go to the Home tab, and there's a drop down here where you can select the layout that you would like. Each slide has a specific layout depending on what you're looking for, whether it's just a title slide, if you want title across the top and content, just a header, to content, comparison, just lots of just a completely blank slide, a title only. You can kind of play around with these and see. It just kind of depends on what you're looking for that slide, what information you're trying to portray. That depends on which slide layout you would choose for that slide. So typically at the beginning, it's always a title slide, and then you kind of move forward from there. So what we're going to do, this PowerPoint has already been created for us. So a lot of the information is already done, which is kind of nice. We're just going to spend some time learning about some tools and some editing and things like that, where we don't actually have to type a whole lot, which is good. It will have us type a few things, but for the most part, for this presentation that we have here, you need to open up this PowerPoint that you have on your screen. And then there's 3 additional picture files that I put out on Canvas as well that you'll need to download and save, because we're going to insert those pictures into our presentation. So make sure you have those downloaded and saved as well from Canvas before you get started. Okay, so here we go. The first thing it's asking us to do is change the theme color. So right now our theme is it's called Banded, is the theme that we are starting with, but it wants us to change the theme colors. So I'm not changing the variant here. I just want to expand my design theme box. And you can see you have lots of different options here, which is kind of a cool thing. And feel free to play around with this. If you hover over them, it gives you a live preview of what it would look like. But if you want to play around with it, that's fine. But then go back to Banded. And I don't want to change to one of these preset variants. I want to click the drop-down arrow next to variant, and I want to go to colors. And then I want to change it to the orange-red color scheme. So just make sure if it's asking you to change the color of the theme, not the variant, just go to the drop-down menu and then find colors there. It also wants us to change the layout of slide 3. So I'm going to go ahead and click on slide 3. It's called Contact Your Existing Clients is the title of that slide, and it wants us to change it to a 2-content layout. So the way that you can just change the layout of a current existing slide without having to insert a new slide is to just click the layout dropdown. And then you're going to select 2-content. It's going to change it a little bit. It's going to add a text box over to the right, a new object. And if you look here, you have some options in the middle of the text box of things that you could add into that text box. So you can insert a table, a chart, smart art, pictures, videos. Just hover over them and a screen tip will pop up and tell you your options. What we're going to do is we're going to insert the picture of the woman. So I'm going to go ahead and click the option or the command that says pictures, and it's going to open up my files for me. And I'm just going to go and browse and find the picture that I saved, and it's called woman, support file woman. It's this one right here. So I'm just going to go ahead and insert it in, and it'll insert it into that nice text box. Notice when it inserts it, it adds some alternative text. So alt text or alternative text is the verbiage that if for some reason that picture didn't pop up for someone on their device or something like that, the alternative text would, and it would be able to tell you what the picture that's supposed to go there looks like, which is kind of nice. You can change the alt text if you'd like from what the default is by just looking at your picture format command up at the top. Remember, this is called a contextual tab. Contextual tabs are there specifically to help you format an object. So right now, this is helping us format our picture. So any formats or changes that I need to make to my picture can be found on the picture format tab, including changing the alt text. So if I click the alt text, you can see a box pops up, an alt text dialog box, and then it tells me what it says currently. You can delete that and then change it to whatever the textbook tells you to make it. So in this case, it tells us to change it to a woman on the phone at a desk in an office. There we go. So now we have updated the alt text, and you can just click off and it's automatically updated. You can close out of that box. So now the alt text is what we changed it to instead of what it originally was when it popped in. Now what we're going to do is we're going to open the Design Ideas pane. And that is what was open. I just closed it out. But right next to the alt text box, there was another pane that was open. It said Design Ideas. And sometimes it will pop up automatically if it notices that you are designing a PowerPoint. And sometimes you can open it yourself. So if you go to the Design tab and go all the way over to the far right, it'll say Design Ideas, and it'll open up the Design Ideas pane. This is pretty awesome because it gives you several suggested layouts based on your information that it sees that you're putting into your PowerPoint. So it's almost like pre-formatted layouts or designs for yourself. So these are just some options you can scroll down and look and play around with if you'd like to assign them to see what they look like in your presentation. But if you do that, make sure that you undo back to what it looks like right now. All right, now we want to resize the picture. So we're going to do any edits to our picture. Again, it's going to be done in the picture format. So I'm going to click on picture format and I'm going to resize my picture so that the aspect ratio stays the same, but that we change it to a height of 4 inches. So the reason that we want to keep the aspect ratio the same, and I'll kind of explain what that means and why you would change that or not change that, is because, go ahead and change it to 4, is sometimes when you crop or change the size of pictures, the image can get distorted and it looks a little bit weird and you can't really understand or maybe see, maybe it looks very stretched out or something like that, and you don't want that to happen. So that is why you want to make sure that you keep the resolution kind of the same, or the aspect ratio, I guess is what it's asking. So if you expand in the size box here, click that little arrow, expand it to get some more format picture options, you will see that I have locked the aspect ratio. So it will not change. It will keep it proportional, I guess, no matter what I make my height and my width. So you just want to make sure that box is checked when it says to lock the aspect ratio. We went ahead and resized the picture. Now we're going to go to slide 4 and we're going to change the layout of slide 4 to a title and content. So I'm going to go to my layout tab and I'm going to change it to the title and content. Again, notice how when it sees I'm starting to design slides, the design ideas box kind of recognizes that and it opens up. So if you don't need that, you can always just close it out. And then if you ever want to reopen it, you just go to the design tab. All right. We changed the layout of slide 4. Now we want to insert a photo on slide 4 of the standing photo. So this is a little bit different, right? I don't have a specific text box to click on to insert the photo. So I'm going to show you a different way to insert a photo. If you go to the Insert tab and you go to Pictures, you can find pictures from this device. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. You can also find online pictures as well. Like if you wanted to go out to Bing and get pictures, you could do it that way. The one that we're doing is standing. And go ahead and say Insert. And it is pretty large, so I'm going to need to do some resizing here, which is fine. And again, see the alt text that pops in automatically, a group of people standing in the front of a crowd. If you wanted to change that, you would just click alt text on the picture format tab like we did before, and then you can just retype in whatever you wanted the alternative text to say. We want to resize the picture on slide 4 while maintaining the aspect ratio so that the picture height is 4 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure you're on the picture format tab. If your picture format tab is not showing up, make sure you click on your picture to select it. That will allow the picture format tab to show up, and then you can drag the picture kind of to the bottom right corner so it's not on top of your text. In fact, the directions specifically say to reposition the picture so that the right edge aligns with the right edge of the side. And then the bottom edge aligns with the bottom edge of the slide. So kind of, in the bottom corner. So it's not overlapping any of the words. Now it wants us to display the rulers and grid lines. So that's going to be on the View tab, and just put a little check mark next to rulers and grid lines. So we've used rulers before in Microsoft Word when we were setting tabs. They pop in across the top and the side, and then the grid lines are the lines that you see on the slide. So each grid line is 1 inch apart. So it helps you kind of see distance. So if you want to crop an inch off of a photo, for example, the grid lines will help you know what an inch is. So if I wanted to crop an inch off of the bottom of this photo, or if it tells me to crop, let me see what the directions say before I just make stuff up, but I like to make stuff up, you guys know. It says, then crop 1/2 an inch off the right side of the picture. So for this one, I don't want to crop anything off of this one, actually. I'm going to leave this one. I'm going to insert another picture on slide 5, and we're going to do some cropping to that one. It's a better picture to crop. So let's go ahead and click on slide 5, and let's insert that third and final picture. It's called Meeting. And since we have a text box on slide 5, we can just insert the picture by clicking the command directly in the center of the text box. And then what it's asking us to do here is it's asking us to On slide 5, reposition the cropped part of the picture so the head of the man standing is about 1/8 inch from the top of the picture. So we want this guy's head to be about 1/8 of the inch from the top of the picture. So I'm going to need to crop off a little bit to get that to happen, about 1/8 of an inch left. So I'm going to crop until right about there. So his head is pretty close to the top of the picture. Then I'm going to crop 1/2 an inch off the right side of the picture. So here's my right side, and you can kind of tell by looking at your grid lines how much 1/2 an inch is because each grid line is 1 inch apart. So I'm going to go ahead and crop this over, and then I'm going to stop here. If you hit escape, it'll uncrop. I'm going to stop here and we'll pick up next video.